Welcome to the show. My name is Lee. This morning in the studios is Neeraj Sagar. Who is Neeraj Sagar? He has an MBA from the University of Chicago, an MS in engineering from Stanford University, and he's the founder and CEO of WisdomCircle. Neeraj, good morning. How are you doing?
I am very well, Lee. How are you?
Doing very well myself. I want to talk to you more about, WisdomCircle. It's a beautiful concept. Let's, tell people exactly what it is. So what is WisdomCircle?
So, Lee, we are a platform that is trying to connect people over the age of 50 to find meaningful roles as they pursue the second half of their lives and / career. So that's what we're doing, and I think at the same time it's a place where organizations can come to find this talent.
Lovely.
So that's what we're doing.
And you yourself, as you mentioned, you come from that generation, the above 50
correct.
generation.
Correct.
And now in this day and age, when you have, youngsters like me and, so many other people coming in the industry, I'm sure it's challenging for people above 50 to, find a place for themselves or like feel left out. I'm sure they feel probably like, hey, what's going on? So many new people coming in, new generation, new lingo.
Correct.
Is this what the idea was behind the WisdomCircle as well?
So actually, that's one of the ideas. But the real idea, Lee, was... So I used to be a headhunter. I used to work with Egon Zehnder, where I was a headhunter for a long time. And one of the things I realized is, a lot of people would come to me and say, look, Neeraj, I'm about to retire.
Right.
What should I do?
Right.
And I think what we realized at that point was, or at least I started thinking about it, this was about 5-7 years ago. And by the way, I used to color my hair. So I had black hair. So at some point, I stopped coloring and it all went white. And that's when I kind of realized, so a couple of things happened. One is, I moved from black hair to white hair. And suddenly people started looking at me different. And people were very respectful, right? But again, this notion that, white-haired people don't have energy, can't do much more, their time is done. So that is one thing that was playing on my mind. The second was this whole notion that once you retire, what can you give to the world? And there wasn't enough. I mean, there's no marketplace for this segment, honestly. If you're very senior, it's relatively easier. You can get a board role, you can get an advisory role. But, if you come from this hardworking middle class where you've spent your entire life getting really good at something, and suddenly one day you're told, okay, you're done. This is retirement age. And at the same time, you have longevity, which is pushing the boundaries where people are talking about 100-year life, which in your generation, you can pretty much take it as a given that if you don't mess yourself up yourself, you will live to 100.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So this whole gap between when people retire to how long people are going to live the question is, what are you going to do? So the genesis of this is, we said, look, we are going to find meaningful opportunities for people post-retirement that organizations can benefit from. So there's value creation that happens. And in a way also do our bit in trying to reduce cognitive decline in the world, right? Depression, dementia, Alzheimer's. And all of that comes because the brain is not used as much as it should be. I'll pause there. I can keep going.
No, that's perfect. That's so interesting, actually, because as you mentioned, the generation who was above 50 or 55, Joe retired, the experience that they have and the wisdom that they have itself is amazing. And if they can share that with us, that's going to be incredible. But because they're not in the workspace, it's very hard to come across them.
Correct.
So when does an organization approach WisdomCircle? When would you say is the best time for them to approach you?
So I think, for us, this is the question we ask organizations. The question we ask is, tell us about a problem you have for which you do not have skills or resources that is important for you. A project that needs to get done, something that needs to be kicked off. Because the general philosophy is you hire somebody, it takes a long time to bring them in, notice periods of 3 months. And when they come in, you have to train them, get them ready. Right. So in a way, organizations approach us when they need someone like now.
Right. Immediately.
Relatively immediately.
Right.
But also organizations that believe they need experience in a certain skill area that they themselves have not developed in-house.
Interesting.
So what we are realizing is that a lot of organizations, so for example, if a pharma company comes to us and says, look, help us find pharma people, that's not a good use case because pharma people know other pharma people.
Correct. Okay.
But if a pharma company comes to us and says, hey, look, help us find somebody who has spent his entire life in manufacturing in the process industry, who can help come and look at our manufacturing and tell us what we need to do differently. Or help us find somebody who has spent time in digital transformation and comes from the tech sector, who can help us up our game. Or, startups come to us and they say, look, we're trying to enter this market or this industry. Can you help us find somebody with a knowledge of a particular industry? So the use cases are just amazing, right? Because pretty much, again, this is the question, right? When you ask an organization a question, tell us your pain point.
Correct.
And tell us where you need help in getting up to speed quicker. This is when they come to us.
Superb.
One example, for example, a company came to us and said, forging company, and they said, look, we're a small forging company. Help us find a metallurgist.
Wow.
That can just spend an hour a day with our metallurgist and just ask them the right questions. And someone who has global experience, who has seen the world, because he says, I can't afford a full-time metallurgist of that experience.
Correct.
But I can for sure, leverage somebody to ask the right questions and make sure that they up the game for my metallurgist. So again, lots of use cases.
It's a game changer, to be very honest. Like, I'm sure startups will be loving this entire concept because they get, as I said, the wisdom, the experience, the knowledge, all of that from one particular person, and for a short period of time. They just need that for that little moment to get that little boost up ahead, and then they're good to go.
The difference, however, being, there are lots of expert networks out there, right? Where you can actually go out and get someone for an hour or 2 hours. Our proposition is not a 1 hour, 2 hour expert network play. Our proposition is hire them for so the average duration that people get hired from our platform is about 6 months. And it ranges from a couple of hours a day to a couple of days a week.
Interesting.
There are some full-time roles as well. But see, again, this is just the industry piece. We also have a piece on non-profits. Right. So what we realize is a lot of social organizations want to hire good, experienced people to help them get better.
Right.
Sometimes they're not able to pay as much as the industry does, in which case they call it an honorarium because we say, look, we can't pay that much. And the interesting part is retirees, most of them are not driven by money. They're driven by the sort of
the passion for the work, for sure.
Passion for the work, purpose, and giving back. I think we did a survey. We brought in about 12 interns from Ashoka before we started last year, and we sent them all across the country, right, to all kinds of towns and cities to talk to retirees from all kinds of segments. And what we realized was about 8 out of 10 people have a very clear purpose of wanting to give back. Now, but wanting to give back, most of them don't know how to, right? So lots of people want to teach, but they don't know who to or what to. Lots of people want to work in the social sector, but their exposure is only to a very limited set of social organizations that's around them. So what we are in a way doing for retirees, we are solving for two things. We are solving for relevance and respect.
Interesting.
Whereas for organizations, we are solving for talent that comes to them much quicker, which is a lot more wiser, is not career oriented, and therefore, is more committed. And at the same time, brings in a lot of mentorship to the younger folks. So we are not replacing younger people's jobs.
Correct.
We are actually going out and supplementing them to say, our India talent pool is so young. How do we grow them quicker?
Correct. That's so true. I think that's a very important aspect as well. How do you grow the talent pool quicker and get them more, experience in the workplace quickly so that they get, used to things quite fast. You also coined the term WisGen, right? What is WisGen?
That's an interesting question. So first of all, let me actually tell you about the company itself, right? So our company is called WisdomCircle.
Right.
So one of the things that came out in our research is a lot of older people, although, there's a lot of words that go around saying gray, silver, age, right? A lot of us who are over 50 don't want to be called old.
You don't like that. Yeah,
we just don't want to be called old, right? I mean, because in our, unlike before, a lot of us don't feel old. So, in fact, one of our investors / friends, Shripati, actually coined the word Wisdom Circle, which I thought was very interesting. And I think based on Wisdom Circle as a name, another one of our friends who's also invested, his name is Nikhil Mota. So he came up with the word WisGen. And WisGen stands for the wisdom generation.
Right.
And our whole notion is, we talk Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z. So we coined this word WisGen, meaning aka the wisdom generation, saying, look, all of us are going to go through this, no matter what our age. Right? You may be in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s, you will get here. Right? So this is a generation all of us will go through. And therefore we said we're going to coin a word that essentially tells the world that these are people who have a lifetime of experience and have built it towards that. And by the way, you can leverage them.
Right.
And so that's the whole idea behind it, as opposed to calling it, old gen.
Boomers or whatever the other terms are that are there.
I mean, okay, so there are standard terms like boomers actually is for a specific age bracket, etc.
Yeah.
But the boomers, again, and you also have the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
Again, these are transitory, right?
Yes.
In a way.
Yes.
Right? You're either there or not there.
Correct.
Whereas it's the other way. They're actually fixed, whereas we are transitory.
You are through it. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone has to go through it. So that's the whole notion. Saying, look,
lovely.
The whole world is going to get to this generation.
I wonder when I'm going to become my, get to my Wisgen, basically.
So at the moment we've sort of used, by the way, that's a good point, because we've used 50 as a cutoff. It's an interesting sort of logic to it. The 50 cutoff is essentially saying now you're on the other side. Right. 50 is just, so anyway, that's sort of.
So now, if you talk about 50 as well, what is the 58 over 58 initiative? That's a very interesting one as well.
Okay, so for those of you who've not sort of heard about it, you should go to 58over58.com. So it's an initiative that we and INK started together. So one, it's a pun against 30 under 30, 40
Correct.
under 40.
Yeah,
a deliberate pun against it.
58 over 58.
So we call it 58 over 58.
Yeah.
Second, it's not an award.
Okay.
It's a recognition.
Superb.
Right? And therefore we are saying, look, this generation doesn't compete. We are not competing with anybody.
Right.
Therefore, this initiative is to talk about 58 stories of people over the age of 58 every year.
Superb.
So we've just got our first set of stories, or first list out, and we are going to now share the stories of these first 58 people as well. But it's again there to help people visualize what is possible once you retire. Now, I think the other question to ask is, why did we choose 58?
Yeah, why 58?
Why do you think we chose 58?
That's not the retiring age, is it, though?
See, correct. Your generation doesn't know this.
60 is the retiring age.
Correct. So now, but for most of us who are over 50, we know that 58 is the age when you can withdraw your money from your provident fund.
Oh, PPF, okay.
Right, that's your 58 age.
Right, your PF.
So 58 has been the traditional retirement age in our country till it moved to 60.
60.
So again, it's a pun. We didn't want to be 60 over 60. We wanted to be hatke,
Yeah, move it away. Perfect. That's amazing.
So, and by the way, everyone who is close to that age gets it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I didn't get it. See, it went over my head. I was
but the very fact that you're asking,
Yeah.
it sort of initiates a conversation saying, why 58?
Correct.
So 58 is sort of, so if you ask anybody in that age, they'll all know that 58 is, so it's again a pun against 30. And again, I'm not saying it's bad to be under 30, under 40, 40. See, but those are awards. Ours is a storytelling mission.
Right. Yeah.
And if you look at the folks in our 58 over 58, I mean, they come from a huge range of experiences: education, non-profit, industry, and people who, in fact, don't even like the word retirement. In fact, we actually use a hashtag retiring retirement as a word, saying this word should not exist.
Right.
Because, I think you can slow down, you can reduce your pace, you can, operate at your own pace.
Yeah.
By the way, we our mascot is a gender-neutral turtle.
Nice.
You guys have heard the hare and the tortoise story?
Yeah, of course.
So we basically tell people we're solving for the tortoise, we're not solving for the hare. Right? Tortoise lives long, has a hard shell, operates at its own pace, and is not competing with the career-oriented hare.
Yeah. He wins the race at the end of the day. He wins, walks slowly, and he gets it. Yeah.
So therefore, we're solving for the tortoise.
They get it. Yeah.
So in fact, for those of you who come sign up on our platform at WisdomCircle.com, we've actually even developed a gamified psychometric called Turtle Types.
Interesting.
So you can come out and check out what kind of a turtle type are you, and therefore what kind of roles will be more suitable for you, which then also helps organizations think about what kind of people will match what they want.
You keep saying that you guys are about 50 and almost retiring, but you guys are still young at heart, for sure.
Hey, I'm telling you.
And the ideas you guys have, it's just amazing. It's brilliant.
And we still love the music. Although I think you and I were talking about the kind of music you like and I like, and I think some of us, of course, like the 70s rock much more.
Yeah.
Can't understand today's music as much. But then again,
it's debatable. It's for everybody. It's stuff for everybody.
There's an interesting learning there, right? The learning is, if we do not, and this is a message for the 50 plus folks, right? If you retire and you start giving back, your time window is limited unless you continue learning.
Right.
So therefore, our message is, look, no matter what your age, you have to be curious. You have to continue learning. You have to continue engaging your mind. Right? So, for example, one of the threads you will see in our 58 over 58 stories is everybody is curious. They're curious about the world around them. They're curious about the changes that they can bring to the world. They're curious about new happenings. They're curious about, what Sam Altman is doing in AI. They're curious about deep tech companies that are building in India. They're just curious, right?
Lovely.
So just that curiosity stuff has to stay. So
it will for sure.
And therefore for you guys also, right? I mean, the 20, 30-year-olds, I mean, stay curious.
That's the goal, at least, just to stay curious and you keep learning.
Correct.
That's the best thing. Now you mentioned the website is wisdomcircle.com, right?
Correct.
And it's not only for Bangalore, it's for across the entire country.
It's for across the country right now. We are starting Singapore operations as well this quarter.
Lovely.
We actually want to bring Indian talent to the world.
I think we are the next. We are the future. Indians are the future. We've already taken over the entire. Honestly.
But it's the other way as well, right? I think Indian organizations can also benefit from people in other parts of the world who've been really good at what they've been doing.
Yes.
I'll give you an example, right? So, Germany has been ahead in the manufacturing game, way ahead of other countries. I mean, we talk about China, but Germany and German engineers are amazing, right? So why can't Indian organizations benefit from retired German engineers? It happens unofficially, but the platform we are creating, or the
it
wisdom,
could make it possible. Definitely.
That's the wisdom marketplace. So we call it the wisdom marketplace.
Amazing.
Right?
That's actually very interesting. Different countries, different expertise areas as well going to come together. WisdomCircle.com is what you need to log on to and check it out. My name is Lee. Right now in the studios is Neeraj Sagar. Thank you once again. Have a great day, sir.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Amazing.